Yo guys. It's your friend here, bringing you another awesome Naruto what if tale. What if Naruto became the shinobi of the 600th world with a legendary harem part 2? I have the permission of the author. Remember to like, subscribe after this video and make sure to share it with your friends. Now let's beggy. Naruto Daily Planet Morning. Naruto, now wearing black pants, black tennis shoes and a leather jacket, was walking inside the Daily Planet and into an elevator. When he reached the top floor, he saw only a few reporters, including Lois, who was throwing balls of paper into a trash can. He walked over to her and caught the last ball she just threw. "Hello, can you point me to Perry White's office?" he asked as Lois looked to him and nodded yes. Down to the back of the room. Nodding, Naruto walked to the back of the room, throwing the ball over his shoulder and into the can. "I wonder what Naruto's doing her." Lois, looking to her left, saw Clark K walking up. "He's wearing a light blue suit with a red tie, white undershirt and glasses. You know him?" she asked as he nodded yes. "He's my parents' neighbor and Kara's boyfriend." "So that's Naruto, huh? The person Karis told me about." A few moments later, Naruto walked out of Perry's office and up to them. "Hello Naruto, what are you doing here?" Clark asked as Naruto stopped. "I'm going to be a freelance photographer for the Planet One," he exclaimed, reaching into his jacket and taking out pictures of him fighting his cage. "Did you take these?" Lois asked, taking the pictures from him. "This was just announced by the police this morning." Nodding, Naruto continued, "Yeah, I travel around the surrounding cities and towns and sometimes see heroes fighting, so I thought this would be a good part-time job," he finished before walking to the elevator. "See you later," he said, waving at them before going into the elevator. Beach City. A few days later, as feared tropical storm Gardner has been upgraded to Hurricane Gardner. Snapper Carr said to the camera in front of him as waves crashed on the pier he was standing on. "Residents are warned to take immediate shelter and only emergency vehicles are allowed on the streets." On the other side of the city, a fired truck with two firemen was driving down a bridge. Suddenly, a stop sign came through the windshield and caused the truck to swerve into the guard rail and dangle off the edge out the back. The driver yelled as the seconds started climbing. The truck fell down and the men screamed, with one going out the windshield until a red blur went in front and caught the truck. "Got you," Superman said, catching the fireman who fell out. Supergirl went under the truck as Wonder Woman threw her lasso down and Naruto helped hold on, letting the truck go. When it was near the ground, Superman looked to the fireman. "You all right?" The driver walked out and replied, "A little shaken up, but we're fine." Wonder Woman pulled her lasso back up and smiled. "Mommy." Naruto and Wonder Woman turned their heads and saw a blonde-haired girl in a tree that was being pulled out of the ground. Wonder Woman flew over and grabbed her as the tree flew away. "I've got you, little sister." The little girl looked at her confused. "I'm not your sister." Wonder Woman floated down in front of the blonde-haired mother who hugged her daughter and scolded her. Wonder Woman looked at them for a moment, not noticing a pole falling towards her. "Diana." Naruto flashed beside her and pulled her away. Looking to her, he spoke up, "You all right? You're usually more careful." Wonder Woman looked to where the mother and daughter were. "I'm sorry, it's just," Naruto interrupted her, seeing where she was looking. Feeling homesick. Nodding, she continued, "My mother used to call me her little son and stars. I left the mish against her will." Naruto nodded before replying, "So why don't you go back and talk to her?" Wonder Woman shook her head and say what she asked with a sigh. "How about the truth? For starters, she'll probably be happy that you're helping the world." Thinking for a moment, Wonder Woman spoke up, "You're right, I should go and talk to her." Turning around and walking away, Naruto spoke up, "Take your time and don't hurry back." Supergirl flew over as Wonder Woman flew up to the sky. "Will she be fine?" Naruto nodded, smiling at her. "Yeah, she will be." Turning around, they went to help out other people in the storm. Later that night, Naruto, who was patrolling on a building near a museum, suddenly heard the sounds of fighting and saw Superman flying over him. Naruto started jumping across the rooftops and into the museum, where Superman was talking to Wonder Woman among the rubble inside. "I've already alerted the others, so you should explain later." Wonder Woman explained about a man named Felix turning her people into street and needing artifacts before freeing them. Flash, Naruto and Superman glanced at each other. There's only one thing left to do. We'll help you," Jean said as the others smiled and broke up into groups. Later, Naruto, Superman and Wonder Woman had soon come up to a mall. "Really, you're sure that the gem is pointing us right here?" Naruto asked, seeing the red gem glow. "Yes, it glows brighter when pointed Ted to the mall, she replied, walking in. Once inside, they looked around the empty stores in displays coming up to a ladies' clothes store. Wonder Woman looked up at the window. How can women wear that? She asked, seeing the revealing clothes on the mannequins. I don't know, Superman replied before using his X-ray and finding an old vase under the concrete there, he said before he jumped and started spinning through the concrete floor. A moment later he came up with the vase in his hands. Someone went to a lot of trouble of protecting these. When she brought up the gem, Naruto noticed the vase shaking. Diana, wait, he shielded his eyes when the vase exploded. He staggered back and opened his eyes. Guys, you all right? He asked, but didn't get an answer. What have you done to Superman and Cage? Wonder Woman yelled out before attacking Superman, who attacked back. Guys, what the hell are you doing? He yelled, jumping in between them only to get hit by Wonder Woman into a store. Holy crap, that hurt, Naruto grunted out before Wonder Woman flew in, grabbed him by the neck and started choking him. Where are Superman and Cage? Naruto struggled before thinking it must be an illusion. It has to be. I wonder if the release for a jutsu will work. Putting his hands in a seal, he released a bit of chakra. Wonder Woman, who's holding a yellow monster, saw him put his hands in a familiar seal. Wait, that's what Cage does to use his techniques, she thought before seeing fire cover him. Letting go, she jumped back, turned around and picked a mirror, but stopped seeing Naruto's reflection behind her. Once turning back, she saw Naruto on his knees holding his throat and gasping for breath. Cage, she exclaimed, dashing over and helping him up. I didn't hurt you much, did I? Naruto coughed a little before replying, well, I now know that I should never want to get on your bad side. So did that release technique work? She shook her head as she helped him up. No, it just looked like fire covered you. I saw your reflection in the mirror, she explained as Naruto looked over and saw the full body mirror on the floor. Okay, then I'm sure Superman will be here soon, so I'll set this up and you can look at his reflection while he looks at ours. Setting up the mirror plus a second, they found against the back wall they saw Superman fly in. Just look at the mirror to see him, Naruto said. His Wonder Woman turned and looked at the mirror. Where are Diana and Cage? Superman asked the two monsters as the yellow one pointed to the mirror. Looking at the mirror, Superman saw both Naruto's and Wonder Woman's reflection. What happened? He asked as Naruto explained it was an illusion, so we would end up fighting each other or run away if you were by yourself, he finished. His Wonder Woman put a hand on her left ear. Diana, I dug up something on your friend F. Batman's voice came over her earpiece. What? She asked, walking with Naruto and Superman. You should see for yourself later at Felix F's apartment. Naruto, Wonder Woman, Jean, Flash, Superman and Batman were looking around NDF's living room, seeing all the books and artifacts littering the apartment. Fascinating. FA has a passion for learning, Jean commented, looking at an open book on a table. Flash picked up a small gold staff with a crystal and round ball at the top of it. Where did he get this stuff? Warlocks or USFL? Ash asked before the crystal lights up. Don't touch that, Batman yelled before ducking lighting that came out of the staff. Put the staff down, Flash, Naruto said. His Batman walked over and took the staff from him. Don't touch anything, we don't know what we're dealing with. Both Jean and Superman had soon put the artifacts in their hands. Back down. Whom are we dealing with then? Superman asked, glancing at the charred spot on the wall from the lightning. Batman threw a picture of a black HAED man in a gray suit with a red tie and white undershirt standing in front of hieroglyphics and explained that Feli XFA was an archaeologist before becoming interested in magic and getting kicked out of the university he worked for. He was mocked by colleagues and later on several disappeared. He finished as Naruto spoke up. I think I know what happened to them. He points up to three faces on the wall. Sick, Flash said, reeling back a little before Batman continued. That's not all I found. His journal and his last entry makes reference to TARDIS. He finished his lighting flashed outside and it started raining. Wonder Woman's eyes widened for a moment. You all right, Diana? Naruto asked as Wonder Woman turned around and explained how her mother Hippel was in a relationship with the god Hades and was tricked by him to help invade the god's home, and as punishment she was to guard the gate to TARDIS where Hades was sentenced to reign over the dead. To make sure the gate wouldn't be unlocked, its key was split and scattered over the world. She finished as Naruto took a look at the stone circular key Superman picked up. So we found the key, Jan asked as Flash quickly took the key. Why would F need the key? Batman walked up and took the key, brought it to a table and puts the handles on. Only one reason to use it, holding it up The others looked to Wonder Woman. Diana, you can't give it to him. Wonder Woman shook her head. If I don't, my mother and sisters will remain statues. Naruto sighed before speaking up. And if you do, the entire world will be destroyed, including your mother and sisters. Wonder Woman looked down for a moment. What are you going to do? Superman asked as Wonder Woman stayed silent for a moment. Later at the Misha, Wonder Woman holding something covered in a sheet flew in the building where F was at and saw him in a blue gold trimmed robe talking to a statue of a woman laying on the ground. She flew down as F stood up and made an hourglass appear. Back already? He asked, snapping his finger and making the hourglass disappear. Do you have the artifacts? Removing the sheet, she held up the key. First release my mother. Nodding, F turned to the statue and materialized a medallion with Medusa's head on it, saying a spell. The eyes on the medallion glowed before the statue revealed a blonde-haired woman in white robes and a golden crown walking over. Wonder Woman handed F the key before walking over to her mother. Finally, after 3,000 years, the key is complete, F exclaimed before getting the medallion out and holding it at Wonder Woman, which means you're useful. He stopped as a red blur pasted him and took the medallion out of his hands. You're not the only one with an ace up their sleeves, Flash taunted, tossing the medallion up in the air. Hearing something, F turned around and saw Batman swinging down and kicked high. You really think she would trust scum like you? Batman asked before Superman and Jan flew down. It's over. FF attacked with several pink balls of energy, forcing the heroes to jump out of the way. He tried to attack Flash, but he dashed around. Damn it, F cursed before bring rock around him, making Flash trip and fall. He tried attacking Flash but was punched by Jean. F formed a bigger ball and threw it at Jean, only for it to phase through him. He threw another one at their feet, sending Batman flying near a support. It started falling down, but Superman caught it. F, seeing his chance, ran for the door but was caught by Batman, who shot his grappling gun at him, and Wonder Woman, who threw her lasso. F turned around and shot electricity through the wire and ropes, shocking the duo. Getting out of the ropes, F picked up the key and ran to the door, only to be blocked by Jean. Called, F turned around only to see Superman and Flash standing behind him, speaking another spell. He threw seeds in front of them and giant vines grew and grabbed them. Wonder Woman and Batman ran over to help, and as Wonder Woman used a sword on the vines, the Tat Man was caught. A Wonder Woman turned around and saw Fu holding her mother. She ran but was caught by small vines wrapping around her arms. F and Hall disappeared in a small dust tornado and the vines died down, letting the heroes go. They all walked over and saw a small smoking scorch mark. Any idea where they would have gone? Flash asked, with Wonder Woman nodding. Yes, follow me. Following after Wonder Woman, she picked up a torch and walked behind the throne. She pushed a stone and a door opened up, showing a flight of stairs, and walked down. When they got to the bottom, they saw the remains of an old city with Hippolyte tied up to a broken support, and F taking the key to the front of a big locked door. Getting into hiding places, they saw F use the key to open the door, and a tall man in black silver red trimmed armor with a horned helmet. They saw him remove his helmet, showing his face with long black hair and a mustache goatee combo. He tried to kiss Hippolyta but was interrupted by F. My lord, I upheld my end of the bargain. Now I want what was promised to me. Hades then puts a blowing finger to Faust's head and he rapidly became old and fell to his knees. My god, Superman exclaimed as Batman picked up a tri-prong kunai. Not yet, Superman said before Wonder Woman ran up holding a sword and cuts her mother free. Hippolyta, you didn't tell me you had a daughter, Hades said before shooting fire out of his mouth at them. Now Superman yelled, flying at Hades, and slammed into him. Hades swatted him away before catching a battering and it exploded in his face. About time you threw it. Clearing the smoke from his eyes, Hades saw Naruto without his coat, bow and arrows, in a black t-shirt, pants and combat boots. Another insect? Hades asked as Naruto snorted. Well, this insect is going to beat your sorry ass, Naruto replied before closing his eyes. Suddenly his appearance changed. His body is soon covered in a yellow shroud of chakra, upon which a seal is clearly visible on his stomach, and a necklace of magatama formed around his neck. Finally his hair spiked up with the two endmost locks resembling horns too. Hades looked at Naruto for a moment before speaking up. Well, if it isn't the child of prophecy. Naruto raised an eyebrow in surprise. So you know about that, huh? He asked as Hades smirked. Well, of course the gods know about the other worlds and keep up on the information about each and every one of them. 3. Suddenly an army of armored zombies came out of the ground and D surrounded them all. I suggest focusing on the god kit. Beat him to a pulp and the undead will disappear. Naruto heard a voice in his head and nodded. Naruto made a cross seal with his hands. Tajik cage bunch and no jutsu multiple shadow clone technique. A bunch of clones surrounded the zombies and Naruto to smirked. Well then let's get wild. His clones focused on the undead as Naruto ran to Hades in a dash as he was fighting. Hyala watched him wide-eyed. The child of prophecy, the one Herod told me about, she thought, watching Hades blow fire at Naruto, who jumped back and with two small clawed hands forming around his finger created a small ball with blades. Mini Rosen Shuriken, mini spiraling shuriken. Throwing the small ball at Hades, he hits his left leg, cuts through his armor and cuts his leg, but he healed immediately after. Did you forget I'm a Hades? Stopped as a big purple ball hits him and he screamed out in pain. His appearance changed into more demon-like with red eyes and several tongues coming out of his mouth. Well, didn't see that one coming. Naruto stated, running over and tried to kick him but was grabbed and thrown over Hades's shoulder. Superman flew over and punched Hades while he was distracted. Stumbling back, he was then kicked away by Naruto. Getting up, Hades saw a sword by him and noticed Wonder Woman fighting off a group of zombies. Picking up the sword, he dashed towards her and swung the sword. Diana Holida yelled, seeing Hades attack her daughter. Naruto flashed beside her and shed her out of the way as Hades hits him into a wall, cracking it. Diana destroyed the key. It's the only way, Apple said to Diana, who flew over to the key, grabbed it and started pulling as she screamed out when she was shocked from the key. No, Hades yelled, running over, but Wonder Woman pulled the key out, slammed it down on the ground and broke it. Suddenly the door started sucking everything into it. Hades tried to hold on the ground as the heroes ran or held on to something to keep from being sucked in. Hippolyta lost her grip on pillar and started flying to the door. Gotcha, Naruto said, grabbing jumped to another pillar and checked to see if anyone was all right. Diana looking to the door. Naruto saw Wonder Woman holding on the edge of the door and was starting to slip. He then saw Hades flying back and grabbed her leg. Damn it, he ran to her, created a clone and transformed the clone into a Uriken cage shuriken no jutsu shadow shuriken technique for throwing the clone. He then hit Hades, making him let go. Naruto picked Wonder Woman up and jumped back as the door closed and was locked back again. Once more Nar's cloak disappeared as he said, Diana down. Thanks Naruto, she replied, giving him a quick kiss on the cheek. Suddenly red chakra formed around Naruto before coming off from him and sitting down beside him, forming a fox with 9 tails. 5 Well, I thought that he would have put up a better fight, the fox said as everyone came over. Everyone, this is Kurama, Naruto said as they looked to Kurama walking back outside. They saw the other Amazon as statues. Is there nothing we can do? John asked as Flash pulled the medallion out as the sun rose. I still have this doohickey. Jan shook his head. Only F knew the spell too. He stopped as the medallion glowed and Flash dropped it. Suddenly all the men transformed back to normal. Later the heroes were standing in front of Hippolyta while other Amazons gathered around them. And for defeating the god Hades you have our eternal gratitude. Flash smirked as he looked to a woman standing beside him. You hear that? Eternal gratitude. Maybe after this we see take a private tour of the island. The woman just stared at him. She wants me, Naruto snorted. Yes, I can see her wanting to take you now. Wonder Woman and several other women came up and handed them each golden civic crowns. Please accept these royal offerings, Hippolyta finished before turning her attention to Wonder Woman. Diana, princess of the Misha. Wonder Woman turned and bowed. As your mother, I'm overjoyed you've returned to us, she said as Wonder Woman smiled. But as your queen, I'm obliged to uphold our law. You brought these outsiders to our island and broke our most sacred law. Naruto sighed, seeing where Hippo was going. Diana, it's with a heavy heart that I must exile you from the Misha. Hippo finished his. Flash stepped forward, which she risked her life to save you. Hey, Flash stopped when the women pointed their spears at him. Superman walked up to Hippolyta and spoke up, please, she only did it to save you. You can't vanish. Superman was soon interrupted by Wonder Woman. No, she's right, I did break the law, she said before turning to her mother. It seems the Fats are against his mother. Turning around, she walked back to the jet as the other women held their spears up. Wait, I would like to speak To Naruto turned to Hippolyta and shrugged. He walked over and followed her to a building and into a room. Turning to him, she took a breath. Please watch over Diana. Naruto raised an eyebrow. All right, I was going to anyways. Why didn't you talk to the others also? Hyas started explaining. Because you're the best one. As the child of prophecy, Herod told me about you and how you would help this world like you did yours. After talking for a few minutes, Naruto handed her a tri-prong kunai. If you need anything, just throw that down. Walking out, he saw Kurama sitting across the hall. Everything all right? Nodding, Naruto replied, yes, she was just asking me to protect Diana. Walking outside and into the jet, they left with Hippolyta watching. May Hera watch over you, my little son and stars. A few days later, Watchtower. Naruto pulled his hood down as he walked up to Diana's door. Knocking on it, he waited for her to answer. After a minute of waiting, he sighed. She must still be down, he thought before knocking again. I'm coming in, Diana, he said, walking in and saw her lying on her bed on the other side of the wall in blue pajamas. Okay, enough moping around. Get up, get dressed and meet me outside. Walking back outside, he leaned against the wall waiting for Diana to come out. A few minutes later, she walked out in her costume, putting her lasso on her head. Hip, all right, we're going to take your mind off things, go patrolling and maybe relax a little later in the day. Walking to the hangar, Naruto turned his head around. So any place you. Ouch. Naruto stopped hitting his head on something. Holding his head, he looked to see what hit him, only to find nothing. What the hell? Diana smiled as she walked up and puts her hand on something. I've asked Batman to work on an invisible jet for me. One. Naruto raised an eyebrows. Seen a shimmer in the shape of a jet. Picture the one from Crisis of Two Earths movie. I meant to ask you, why do you use the javelin if you can fly? I mean, I get you needed to go to the Earth from the Watchtower in space, and when me and Batman are with you on missions. Diana turned back to him and asked, why does Flash need a car? Naruto deadpanned before replying, point taken, but he only uses it for when he's in his secret identity. Looking to the jet, he asked, do you want to take it out? Shaking her head, she replied, no, the cloaking's not finished yet, it still shows the people flying it. Naruto looked at her for a moment. Really, that is a problem getting into the other jet. They flew to Earth. Cage. Wonder Woman. They heard Jean's voice over their earpieces. We hear, Naruto replied as they came up to Metropolis. There's a bank robbery in Metropolis and you two are the closest. Nodding. N. Arrow replied, all GHT, we got it. Arriving at the bank, they saw a gang in black clothes in masks putting bags in a car and leave. Wonder Woman flew out of the jet as Naruto followed and saw her land on the front of the car. Stopping it, the gang got out and shot at her, only for her to deflect the bullets with her wrist. Protectors. Suddenly an arrow hits the roof and green gas came out with Wonder Woman flying up. Naruto dropped down, leaving the javelin to hover. Feeling better, he asked as she nodded yes, she replied, walking up and hugged him. Thank you, she said as he returned the hug. No problem, he replied, smiling. She gave him a quick kiss on the cheek before flying up to the jet. Come on, we still need to patrol. Shrugging, Naruto flashed up and they left. A few days later, Superman and Johan in space. Superman and John, both in gray gold trimmed space suit, are on an asteroid putting a console on the surface. 32% iron oxide, 21% carbon, Jean said, reading off from the screen as Superman puts a hand to his helmet. Are you getting this, HW girl? Cage, he asked them. Yes, we're sending you data as we speak, HW girl replied over the earpiece with Naruto and Shara, who was typing on the computer as Naruto, who stood beside her and watched the screen go through the data. I'm still amazed at the technology this world has, Naruto said as Shira smirked. Yeah, this is a long stretch from VCR tech. Nar's eyes widened as he quickly turned to her. What did you say? Carrot told me how your world's pretty much up to the 80s with a few except ions, of course, she replied before turning to the screen, talked to the others and ignoring Naruto, whose eyebrow twitched. The asteroid's just over 3 miles across. Can you imagine if that hits the Earth? She asked as Superman replied, that's not going to happen. Suddenly the screen went red and an alarm went off. Oh no, Superman, the computer says there are pockets of hydrogen inside the asteroid. Get out of there. Before Shira stopped, hearing an explosion and the screen flashed. JN Superman waiting for a moment. They didn't hear anything. What the hell was that? Turning around, they saw John floating down a FTER explaining what happened with Superman and JN Green Lantern yelled at them, how could this happen, you two were supposed to be monitoring the situation. Naruto walked up to him, hey, we followed everything to the damn computer didn't tell us until after we said the damn bomb HW girl flew over and continued. Now are you going to sit here and point fingers, or are we going to do something about it? Green energy came from John's Rian. Let's go, he said as they started walking to the hangar. Superman and John. Superman, now back in his costume, was chained to the wall of a ship. He woke up and looked around and saw other aliens with Jean, now back in his costume, also chained. Jean, he tried to pull the chain but was shocked hearing two people talk. He looked up and saw two red-skinned aliens, one in black robe and the other in a gray one. Your instincts were right, sir. My tests say he's a Kryptonian. The in the gray suit said as the one in black turned to him. A Kryptonian? I thought they were extinct, he asked as the other looked to Superman. Apparently not all of them. The one in black smiled, looking at his paper. A rare specimen and a strong one also. He'll do well on War World. A stadium filled with aliens cheering at the one who stood on a stage in the middle under a big screen with his face on it. He's a gray-skinned alien with several scars on his body and blind in his right eye. He's wearing black gold-trimmed helmet, right pauldron with a chain going down to his black gold-trimmed GHTS with gold gloves and black boots, holding a silver axe. He raised his axe and addressed the crowd. Hold your applause, that's not what Draga fights for. Draga puts his hand down and continued, I fight for honor and our leader Mongol. The crowd cheered as another alien in a hovering chair with two RS following came out. Mongol is a yellow-skinned alien with red eyes in a purple silver-trimmed shirt and silver pants with purple boots and a silver helmet. Well said, Draga, but I wonder if your opponent feels the same. Turning to the crowd, Mongol asked, don't you? Hearing the cheers and boos, he turned back to the stage, healing from parts unknown and weighing at 720 mass units. Another alien came up beside Drag. He's an octopus-looking alien with several weapons on his body. Searder, the terrible Searder, shot a piece of the stadium off with a gun. He prefers to let his weapons do the talking, raising his AR. Ms. Mongol continued, and that's exactly what they'll do on War World. Draga and Searder suddenly disappeared from the stage and reappeared on the big screen on another planet. The aliens watched as Drag ran around looking for Searder as he passed a rundown building. Searder, who was holding on to the rafters, pulled up Draga using his axe to cut Crowder's tentacle. Draga fell, turned around and threw his axe up to the roof and caused it to collapse. Walking over, Searder suddenly jumped up but fell over. Draga picked up his axe and turned to the camera. Shall I spare him? Mongol stood up and looked to the crow. WD, what say the rest of you? Hearing the crowd, he turned back. The crowd has spoken. Long live democracy. Drag brought the axe down off screen and ink flew up as the crowd booed loudly. The smile vanished from Mongol's face. He brought up a camera. Captain, he said as an image of the aliens who took Superman and JN came up. Listen to this, he said as the crowd's booing came over the speakers. They're disappointed in the last specimen you brought. The alien looked fearful for a moment. My lord, Mongol interrupted him. Over a dozen specimens and not one can stand up to Drag for more than 2 minutes. The alien puts up his hand and replied, the next one's different. He's a powerful Kryptonian. Mongol looked interested. He'll give Draga the fight of his life. Mongol nodded. He better. He finished, ending the transmission, leaving the crew to their thoughts. Naruto, Green Lantern and Ha Girl. Naruto, Green Lantern and Haji RL was in a green bubble from Green Lantern's rain had came up to what was left of the asteroid. There it is, Green Lantern said, seeing the beat-up javelin. No sign of them. HW Girl said, looking around as Naruto closed his eye and made his yellow cloak for a moment. I'm not feeling anything. Green Lantern shot out energy and found a trail. There's an ion trail and it's from a big ship. They started following for a while and eventually stopped. What's wrong? Naruto asked as Green Lantern looked around and saw several trails. Too many trails. I can't find the one we were following. Looking around, Hawk Girl saw a planet where the other trails came from. How about there? Nodding, Green Lantern replied, it looks like a fueling station. They started floating to the planet Superman War World dungeon. Superman, chained to the wall, was kicked awake, groaning. He looked up and saw Draga looking at the other inmates' path. Edik the lot of Ya Draga said before bending down to look Superman in the eye, and you Kryptonian, you're the worst of them all. He finished spitting in Superman's eye and walking out of the prison. As soon as he was gone, Superman broke the chains and cuffs. Standing up, he rubbed his wrists. Why didn't you do that when Draga was here? A gray-skinned alien said, chained at the neck and eating food that he was given. It's called turning the other cheek. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to find my friend. Superman replied, walking and punching the door. Glancing out, he saw two aliens dragging Searder away, talking about a fight following them. He saw them take Searder to a sewer and leaving him with a bunch of other aliens, including an unconscious Jean. Suddenly a huge alligator jumped up in front of Jean. Superman yelled, flying over and punching the alligator back into the water. Picking him up, he shook Jean awake. Where are we? He asked as Superman stood up. I'm not sure, but he stopped as the alligator came back out, bite Superman's arm and dragged him in the water. After a moment, Superman bursts out of the water with a few teeth following after this. This place is starting to get on my last nerve. Superman panted out before running out of the sewer. Coming to a dimly lit stone hall, they were suddenly shot at by flying robots. This way, Superman yelled, going to the right, grabbing a piece of the wall and threw it at the robots, destroying them. Running further down the hall, they came up to more robots. Back, Superman yelled, pushing Jean down another hall, picked up a stone pillar and threw it at the robots, having them blow a hole in the ceiling. Flying up while holding JN, they went through an empty stadium and flew towards the city. Suddenly they hit a green force field that John faced through, but Superman fell down. Getting on one knee, he touched it, having it shock him. Suddenly lasers hit the field and Superman turned around and saw more robots. Go, he ordered as Jean shook his head. No, I'm not leaving you. Superman glanced back. You'll be better help to me out there. Getting up, Superman was shot and fell over unconscious. Jan flew away as the robots took Superman away. They took him to Mongol, who was talking to his advisor about the economy problem. Who's this? Mongol asked as his advisor, a gray-skinned alien in red robes, walked up. He's the Kryptonian he tried escaping earlier. Mongol walked up to Superman and looked at him. Pity, I was hoping to build him up with a few preliminary matches. He looked to his advisor, give him to drag. The robots took Superman away as Mongol looked out the window. Naruto, Hawk Girl, Green Lantern. Naruto pushed a yellow-skinned alien against the wall of the bar. He and Weak Girl walked into. I'm telling you, I don't know anything, the alien said as Naruto glared at him, his eyes turning red for a second. And I know you're lying. Before he could say anything else, he heard Ha Girl yell. Turning around, he saw several aliens surrounding her. Letting the alien go, he started walking over but stopped when the alien grabbed his coat and pulled his hood off. Naruto quickly elbowed the alien in the face, knocking him out, and continued to Hawk Girl's fight. Hey, can I get in on this? He asked as the aliens nodded, thinking Naruto would help. Naruto punched one and kicked another. One alien with red skin and black hair pulled out an axe and swung at Naruto, who dodged to the side and knocked the weapon out of his hands. Nar kicked him out of the window, followed by two. Ha Girl threw out and they continued out in the street. Naruto turned, hearing a Ha Girl yell, and saw two aliens gang up on her, forming a blue ball in each of his hands. Naruto dashed over Ross and Ringan, spiraling cereal spheres. Two. Naruto hits them with each ball, sending them back into a wall as Green Lantern walked over. I can't leave you two alone for a second, can I? He asked his Hot Girl, and Naruto turned to him. They know something, Hawk Girl said, pointing to the fleeing aliens. Naruto pulled out his bow and pressed the red button on the inside of the handle, causing the quiver bottom to rotate. I got him, Naruto said, pulling an arrow out and aimed it at the group. He shot at a blue-skinned alien in tattered clothes. The arrow opened up and a wire wrapped around the alien's legs, causing him to trip. Walking over, Green Lantern picked him up. Relax, we just wanted information on our friends. You can talk to me or my friends. Looking back, he saw Hawk Girl holding her mace and Naruto twirling a kunai. Okay. The alien said his Green Lantern put him down. I've heard about a Krypton and being taken to War World, real nasty place, heavy on the carnage for the masses. Who Girl raised her mace at him. Take us to this War World. The alien walked past them as Naruto grabbed his shoulder and walked with him. Superman AR World. A handcuffed Superman was raised on a stage, looked out and saw a crowded stadium. Looking to his left he saw Drogus standing holding a two-handed axe. A robot floated over and cuts his cuffs off as another handed him another axe. Looking up he saw Mongol sitting on a platform. Are you ready? Cry Tony, and he asked as Superman broke the axe over his knee. A bold move, let's see how long he'll last on War World. Suddenly a gun came out from under the platform and shot Superman and Draga. They disappeared and reappeared on the screen. They started fighting as the crowd cheered as the fight continued. Jean, now wearing a cloak, looked UNW worriedly as Draga threw a large stone onto Superman. Superman broke the stone and punched Draga into a wall. A floating camera came up to Superman, who looked at it confused. Finish him, Mongol order as Superman shook his head no. The crowd started booing. The people ha Vey spoken, finish him. Superman just shook his head. Very well. Guards robots suddenly started shooting him, causing Superman to collapse. A moment later Superman rose on his hands, still alive. Finish him, Mongol ordered as the robots continued. Jan stood up and started chanting Superman, Superman, Superman. So on the entire crowd started chanting. After talking to his advisor, Mongol looked back. He shall be spared. Suddenly Superman and Drag disappeared from the screen and everyone in the stadium left. Down in the dungeon Superman and Draga reappeared as the other prisoners surrounded them. What? Superman asked. Ed, as a small alien walked up. You defied Mongol. No one's ever done that before. Superman raised an eyebrow and glanced around. Hasn't anyone done that before? He asked as the group shook their heads. Draga did before, but he decided he liked living. An alligator-looking alien replied as the small alien SP oak up. After what you did, you deserve to live. We've arranged transport via trash pickup. And Superman stopped him and spoke up. No, I'm not leaving without my friend John. Another alien spoke up. But if you stay, Mongol will kill you. Superman walked past them and spoke over his shoulder. I've dealt with pay Opal like him, I'll take my chances. Two aliens picked up Drag and started walking behind Superman. Wait, where are you taking him? Superman asked as they looked to him. Where all the losers of fights go, to the pit. Superman shook his head no. The others looked surprised at him, but he won't rest until he end the score. Superman looked down for a moment. Will he fit on that trash ship? He asked as the aliens looked. The Dragon, Naruto, Hawk Girl and Green Lantern. You're on my way, Hawk Girl said, pulling her right wing away from Green Lantern as they were sitting in the back of the small ship. Well, if you want, you can sit on my lap, Naruto said, grinning as he sat behind them. She deadpanned at him before turning her attention back to Green Lantern. Why can't we use your range? She asked as the alien looked back to them. The galaxy is a big place and I need my Navi computer to find War World. He has a point. Green Lantern said as Hayat Girl scoffed. Sure, take his side. Naruto sighed as they continued bickering. Okay kids, don't make me force him to turn the ship around, Naruto said as a glass wall went up in front of him. What the hell? Naruto asked before seeing green gas come in. Oh hell no. Naruto flashed to the alley and slammed his head on the control panel. Crack. Turning back, Naruto saw Hawk Girl punch and crack the glass before falling to the floor unconscious. Turning back, he pushed the unconscious alien out of the seat and sat down. Way more buttons than the javelin. Why can't they make this simpler, like a starter button and 2 or 3 on-off switches? Seeing a planet, Naruto started flying to it. I hope this is War World. Later, Hawk Girl groaned as she sat up. Hey sleeping beauty, I thought I was going to have to kiss you to wake you up. She saw Nar standing in front of her as a clone tied up the alien and threw him in the spot they were and raised the glass wall. Where are we? She asked, standing up as Green Lantern woke up. I don't know, it's not War World. I haven't seen anybody since landing, Naruto replied, opening the door and walked out as Hayat Girl and Green Lantern followed. They saw garbage everywhere. Broken buildings and a few small fires. They started looking around with Naruto pressing the button on his glasses. His eyes widened seeing aliens hiding. Look out, he yelled as the hidden aliens jumped out and attacked. One jumped on Green Lantern and another tackled Hawk Girl. Naruto quickly turned arrow and grabbed the head of one with both hands and brought him down on his knee. Looking back, he saw the others make quick work with the other two and started interrogating the last one. Where is War World? Hawk Girl asked, but another voice answered, if it's War World you want. Turning to their left, they Saw Draga without his helmet pauldrons and a crude S-shaped scar on his chest. Talk to me, he finished as they walked to the ship. Later as they came up to War World, Hog Girl looked to Drag. That scar, where did you get it? Drag raised an eyebrow. What's it to you? Hawk Girl shrugged before replying. A friend of ours has something like that on his chest. As they came across some buildings, Draga suddenly opened the hatch and jumped out. Raw, Hawk Girl yelled as Green Lantern grabbed her shoulder. Leave him. Superman and John are more important, he said before looking to Naruto. Can you sense them? Nar concentrate. Ed, for a moment, yes, they're in the same plaque. Wait, Superman just suddenly left. Naruto replied, coming up to a stadium. Jan's there. Naruto pointed to a dome-shaped building with a cannon in a small opening. Flying over, they saw Jean hiding behind a support as guards in blue uniforms shot at him. Green Lantern flew out and made a shield for Jean as the others jumped down and attacked the guards. Suddenly the cannon lights up the cannon. Jan said his Hawk Girl flew up and saw the laser building up as she screamed as she swung her mace, hitting the laser and pushing it back. The cannon blew up, causing the guards to flee. I saw it, but I don't believe it, Naruto said. His Hot Girl floated down. Right, let's go and get Superman, Naruto said as they floated up in the air. Soon they saw Mongol about to hit Superman with a laser axe. Green Lantern made a shield for Superman and the others fell down the cannons. Destroyed. Drag planet is safe, JN said. His Superman stood up. Then all bets are off. Walking up, he was interrupted by a voice. No, he's mine. Draga ran up and punched Mongol with the others surrounding them. Draga threw another punch, but Mongol punched him back into. Green Lantern, keep your guard up on your left side. Getting up, Draga blocked a punch from Mongol but wasn't able to block the follow-up. Draga caught another punch, kicked Mongol in the stomach and punched him in the face. This is for my people. He hits him again. This is for my honor. Mongol fell on his knees. And this is for justice. With a final punch, Draga knocked Mongol's crown off and knocked him unconscious. Finish him, finish him, the crowd chanted over the camera. No, he doesn't deserve the honor, Drag said. His Superman walked over. Then it's over. Draga looked to him. No, not yet. Picking up Mongol's crown, he handed it to Superman. Here, you deserve it. Wear it. Superman shook his head. No, you should keep it. Draga looked to the crown. What's life without honor? I'm not worthy. Superman shook his head before replying, the test of honor is not how you die but how you live. Walking back to the others, Green Lantern created a ball around them and they floated up, leaving Drag to stare at the crown. Later at Naruto's home, Naruto walked out of the garage wearing a dark blue shirt, black pants and boots. He stretched as he walked up to the door and walked inside. As soon as he opened the door, he was tackled by a red blur. Hey Barb, he greeted Cheetah, who held on to him. I see the treatments are working, he said, seeing her red hair on her cheetah form, wearing black pants and a sleeveless shirt. Picture her from Justice League. Done. 3 nodding. She let go, yet Batman said it shouldn't take long before they found a permanent cure. I may even be able to change forms at will. He smiled, giving her a quick kiss. That's great news. Walking to the living room, he saw Kara and Barbara sitting on the couch watching TV with Hunter and Kurama using a henge transformation to hide 8 of his tails laying on the floor. Hey girls, he greeted, sitting in between them and TCHED the movie with them. The girls rested their heads on his shoulders. So anything interesting happened while we were gone? Naruto asked as the girls shook their heads. No, nothing we couldn't handle, Kara replied as Cheetah walked in and sat on Naruto's lap and continued watching the movie. Naruto, Florida's and Cheat is Central City. To Flash and Cheetah in her human disguise were in a diner and Flash was talking to 2 women who were sitting in a booth near the window. And Solomon Grundy thought he had the drop on me, Flash said, taking his 10th burger, but he didn't. And you know why? He asked, taking a sip of his soda. Because you're the Flash, the women said together as Flash nodded. That's right, fastest man alive, he finished as Naruto held a piece of paper above Flash's head. I've heard that applies in the bed also, the women snickered as Cheetah elbowed him. Oh come on now Barb, that was funny, he said, crumbling the paper up. Before she could retort, a slow song came on the jukebox. Come on hero, let's dance, Cheetah said, pulling Naruto in the middle of the room. Isn't he dating Supergirl? One woman asked with short black hair as she stared at the dancing duo. Oh yeah, but in his world he's the last man of his family like Superman, and all a law that came up when his village was founded kind of forced him to take multiple women to bring it back, Flash explained. And before the women could ask anything else, a truck with a trailer hits a car into the building. Flash quickly grabs the 2 women out of Hiwei and Naruto applying chakra to his limbs stopped the car as soon as it came through the window. Are you alright, man? Flash asked, opening the driver's side door. The airbag deflated, showing a young man with dark skin and short hair. He's a madman. He ran me right off the road, he yelled as Flash turned. Ned to the two women. Sorry ladies, duty calls. He sped out with Naruto and Cheetah without her disguise following out and jumping on his motorcycle. And you didn't want to give them our numbers, the second woman with long blonde hair and a ponytail said to the other as she looked sheepish. Naruto follow D after Flash as the truck kept hitting cars that got in the way. Suddenly a man with gray hair got out of the passenger side window and shot at them with a gold-black gun. Damn it, it's never easy, Naruto said, weaving through the blasts. Soon they came up to the bridge and Naruto sifted into a higher Heya R and caught up to the truck, putting the motorcycle in autopilot. He picked up his bow. Whoa, wait, why are you taking your hands off the speeding vehicle? Cheetah asked, not seeing what Naruto did earlier. Picking out a regular arrow, Naruto shot the tire out and the truck crashed into the stone railing. Front end dangling. Flash sped over and grabbed the man who shot at them and the driver, a middle-aged Asian man, and sped back just as the truck fell. Suddenly green energy shot down and lifted the truck back up. Lose something. Looking up they saw a green lantern floating above the truck. We had this handled, Flash said. His green lantern sat the truck down and looked to the multiple cars that were red. I see. Naruto, putting his bow on his back, looked to Green Lantern. What are you doing here? He asked. This Green Lantern sighed. I was following a police call, he said, walking to the trailer of the truck. Opened it and showed containers with biohazard signs on them. A shipment of radioactive isotopes was hijacked. Naruto picked up the two men. I guess that's why these two were hellbent on getting out of town. The Asian man groaned and held his head. Where am I? He asked, with Naruto putting them down. You jacked a shipment of isotopes, Cheetah said as the men looked confused. Green Lantern, using his ring, pulled out their IDs. Professor Arthur Chen and Dr. Mark Stevens both work at the lab where the isotopes were stolen. Flash smirked and crossed his arms. And I feel bad about taking paper clips from the TCH tower. Later at the lab, the heroes were talking to a female with a white lab coat, black hair, and a bun and glasses. I can't explain it, they're both highly respected in their fields, she said. His Green Lantern was looking at a folder with the two men's information. Maybe they just snapped, Cheetah said. Beside Naruto as he held her by the waist. Some people do worst want some. Looking back they saw a Flash holding a banana to a gorilla with black fur. The woman quickly took the banana out of his hands and pointed to a sign above the gorilla, don't feed the animals. The woman started walking away. If you excuse me, I have work to do. Shrugging, the heroes left as the gorilla seemed to glare at them. Park, Naruto, Flash, Green Lantern and Cheetah. Come on, we have work to do, Green Lantern said, pinching the bridge of his nose. This will only take a second, I have a hyper-accelerated metabolism, Flash replied. Acking a dozen hot dogs from the vendor. Lucky, Cheetah said with a sigh as she watched in envy. Oh come on now Barb, you're very beautiful, Naruto said. Right before they heard screaming, gorilla is on the loose. A man with blonde hair yelled, running past them. Hold these, Flash said, handing Green Lantern the hot dogs and speeding up. Wait, he yelled and looked to see Naruto and Cheetah gone with a few leaves falling down where they were standing. He puts the hot dogs down and tried to follow, only for the vendor to stop him. You need to pay for these. With Naruto and Cheetah they came up to his motorcycle and saw a gorilla with silver fur steal a silver convertible. What the Naruto said before quickly getting on his bike, and they started chasing after him. Soon Flash came up with a metal rake and threw it in front of the car, having it crash. Easy boy, we'll get you behind monkey bars in no time, Flash said. Pooh. A hand on the gorilla's shoulder as Naruto and Cheetah stopped beside him. The gorilla slapped his hand away. Get you hands off me, you filthy human, Flashes and Cheetah. His eyes widened, but Naruto just pointed at the gorilla. No way, you're quoting the remake, the original's way better. Before anything could be said, a beam hits Flash and he screamed. After a moment Naruto walked over to him. Are you? He was interrupted by Flash punching him and then punched Cheetah. When they woke up they saw Flash and the gorilla gone. Naruto said, rubbing his cheek cage. He heard Green Lantern's voice over His earpiece, yeah, Naruto replied, putting his hand to his ear. We have a problem later. Central City Jail. Naruto, Green Lantern and Cheetah walked down the hall of the jail that Flash was said to after apparently stealing the isotopes they got back. They walked into the interrogation room where Flash was sitting in front of an overweight male with dark skin, bald and wearing a white button shirt with black tie and gray pants. Looking to his right, Naruto saw another with tan skin, short blonde hair, in a beige suit and red tie. Put the coffee in a paper cup, he'll be taking it to go, Green Lantern said. Putting a folder down and handed it to the bald man. The cop picked it up and read it. You're bailing this low life out, he asked as Naruto raised an eyebrow. No, he's not. He was hit with a beam earlier after getting that gorilla that escaped. Maybe it was a mind control thing. Besides, if he was really guilty, you wouldn't be able to hold him with only handcuffs. Smirking, Flash stood up and twirled his handcuffs on his finger. He tossed it to the blonde hair cup as they walked out. When they were outside, Naruto turned to Flash. Do you remember anything? Shaking his head, he replied, no, not since we stopped the tea. Alking Varela. Green Lantern simply raised an eyebrow. I don't really believe that. Flash just stared at him. We've got a Martian's number on our speed dial. I think I deserve the benefit of the doubt. Sighing, Green Lantern nodded. Okay, lead and go to the park to see if we can find anything. Nodding, Flash ran his Green Lantern. Naruto and Cheetah followed. Park KN cops surrounded the entrance as they kept a lookout for the gorilla. Guess our friend still at large, Cheetah said, getting out of Naruto's arms. Green Lantern aimed his ring at the ground and saw a green footprint. Got something following the trail. He came to a bridge, and when they walked under, they saw the gorilla standing in front of them. The gorilla growled and beats his chest before running towards them. Green Lantern quickly shot him with a blast out from underneath the bridge. Sitting up and holding his head, the gorilla glared at him. Was that really necessary? He asked as Green Lantern's eyes widened. Okay, so you can talk now. Who are you? He asked as the gorilla walked over and introduced himself. I'm Salivar, Gorilla City's chief of security. Seen the blank stares saw of our side and explained there's a city of hyper-intelligent gorilla loss in Africa, and how one named Grodd tried to take over the city with mind control but escaped when he was found out, and it wasn't until recently that we found out he stole our city's security plans and he sworn revenge on the city. Well, that would explain the isotope robbery and your memory loss, Gray Lantern said to Flash before turning back to Salivar. He needs isotopes to power his devices, Salivar explained before walking up to a bush. The bush turned into a flying bike and Salivar pulled out a briefcase, opening it and pulling out a file. He gave it to Green Lantern. My sources say he's working with a scientist he met online. Opening the file, Green Lantern saw the female scientist they talked to earlier, Adusera Corwin. Cheetah snorted before crossing her arms. I knew something felt off about her, she said before Green Lantern spoke up. We should contact the others. Flash shook his head before replying, why, we can take care of one dumb gorilla. No offense. He directed the last part to Salivar. Lead and go, he said before speeding off. No, wait, Hune's very fast, he said to the others. Yeah, he gets that a lot. Now what were you going to say? Naruto asked as Salivar picked up a silver headband. That these will keep Grow from controlling us. Each of the heroes took one and puts it on. Let's go after him before it's too late, Naruto said, dashing to his bike. Laboratory. Coming up to the wall outside, Salivar blew a hole in it. It's over. Grodd standing beside Dr. Sarah wearing a gold helmet with a ruby on the forehead smirked. His Flash was laid down on a table. You're a fool to come here, Salivar pointed to his band before replying, you can't control us while we have these on. Grodd held his smirk as the gem on his helmet glowed. I wasn't you, I was thinking of. Suddenly Flash sat up. Destroy them. Flash ashed over and attacked the heroes. Grow and Sarah ran to another room. Flash fight it, Naruto said before being punched. Cheetah dropped down onto Flash and twisted him down to the floor and punched him. I've wanted to do that since you tried to peek on me at Naruto's. Naruto jumped in the air and shot arrows down at Flash that opened up to tie him to the floor. Salivar ran after Grodd and saw him and Sarah on a flying bike near a reactor. My apologies for the hasty exit, Grodd said, holding a small remote. Pressing a button, he smiled, but I've got a city to overthrow. He flew out as the others ran in a ND saw yellow energy coming out of the reactor. Green Lantern tried to push it back with his rain, but it continued to cover the building and eventually the entire city, leaving nothing after it died down. Jean, Diane and Hawk Girl at the watchtower. Jan was watching the monitor with Diana before it beeped. Diana, Hawk Girl. Diana walked over as Hawk Girl flew down. What is it, Jean? Hawk Girl asked as Jean pushed some buttons on the computer. Central City, it's gone. The women's eyes widened at that. That's impossible, Diana said as Jean brought up an image with a white circle on its. Sensors show that the city, Virginia, Nishid without a trace. Hawk Girl stood up and asked, weren't G Flash and Cage down there? Diana pressed another button. Flash, Cage, Green Lantern, can you read me? She asked, but got no response. Repeat, come in, she repeated, but still got no reply. She looked to the others with worry before they flew to the Angar. Naruto, Green Lantern, Flash, Cheetah and Saw of our laboratory. Green Lantern groaned as he got up and got rid of the energy that's covering the others. We're still here, he said as everyone but Flash got up. So it would seem, Salivar replied before they heard Flash groan. What should we do? He could still be under Grodd's control, Naruto said as Salivar walked up to Flash and puts his headband on him. This will protect him. The headband glowed blue and Flash quickly sat up and looked around. Who, what, where? Looking to the others he face-palmed. Not again. What did I miss? He asked. His Green Lantern helped high up that dumb old gorilla got away. Salivar walked up to the hole in the wall and looked up. Cage to Watchtower. Come in, Watchtower. I'm not getting anything, Naruto replied. A Green Lantern and Flash tried their earpieces but got no reply, and for good reason, Salivar said as the others walked over. What the hell is that? Cheetah asked, seeing what looked like a shield over the city. It's like the shield that protects my city. Nothing can get in, Salivar replied before Green Lantern spoke up. We out unless I can destroy the generator. Walking back into the room, Green Lantern tried to use his ring on the generator, but a shield protected it. WAOW, not even a scratch, Flash said as Salivar nodded. Yes, gorilla technology is highly advanced. Come, we must find Grodd, he said as they walked out of the building. Jean, Wonder Woman and Hawk Girl inside of the Javelin just outside of Central City. Approaching Centra L City, Wonder Woman said from the pilot seat before Hawk Girl spoke up, or at least where it used to be. She pointed to the area where the city was. Suddenly the computer started beeping. Proximity alert, Wonder Woman said, pressing a button, but there's nothing there. JN said, looking in front of them. But Ma N built this device. If it says there's something, is there something? Is there? Suddenly the Javelin hits something, causing it to carom to the ground. After landing they looked to the Wayne and saw scratches and DS. Your trust in Batman's tech is well placed, JN said as Wonder Woman turned around. Let's see if we can find what we hit, she said, walking forward and eventually touched the field. It looks like an energy field. Can you face through it? She asked Jean, who flew to it but was pushed back as soon as he touched it. No, it seems to be highly advanced. Hawk Girl grabbed her mace. Let me tried to get through. She flew towards the field as Jean tried to stop her. Wait, Hawk Girl hits the field and was shocked back into Wonder Woman, knocking both of them to the ground. Maybe we should try a different approach, she said, brushing her hair out of her face and standing up. Batman, can you find anything out about this field? She asked into her earpiece after scanning it. After a few moments, Batman replied, Diana, I've analyzed the data you sent. Nodding, Wonder Woman replied, in any way to get through it? No, but I found a similar energy in Africa, Batman replied as Wonder Woman's eyes widened. Could the city have been transported? She asked before Batman spoke up. No, but it's worth investigating. I'm sending the coordinates to the Javelin's GPS and I'll meet you there, Batman finished as the others went to the Javelin. Central City. The others came to the middle of the city where the people we in a group in front of Grodd, who's standing on a stage. Grodd, the people cheered as Naruto sighed. This isn't good, he replied as Grodd pointed at them. Intruders, destroy them. The people turned around and surrounded them. Damn it, Kurama, can we use the cloak to get rid of the control? Naruto thought before hearing Kurama's reply. No. They don't have chakra and there's only a few other ways I know of, and you don't have time to use a seal or be able to put a bew in the others. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he saw Green Lantern create a ditch around them. Bew, what do you mean? Kurama sighed before explaining, Jerky couldn't be control At least with jutsu or a seal only way is with a strong Sharingan and the other way to break it is with a mate. Mark 1 Naruto shuddered at that. Yeah, I wouldn't want that, he thought before seeing the two women from the diner and shot a flashbang arrow. You could add a little chakra to shock them. Oh. Oop, but I'm not sure how well that would work, and the ones that get freed may be attacked also. Kurorama finished as Naruto jumped up in the air and shot a sleep gas arrow that exploded, hitting a good part of the attacking group. Looking back, he saw Flash pick up Salivar and running away, dashing to Che. He grabbed her and flashed to Flash and the others in an alleyway. Oh, that was rough, Cheetah said, holding her stomach. Grodd got away, but I can track his trail, Green Lantern said as they left to follow Grodd. They came up to a military base and a soldier came out and pointed his rifle at them. Halt! The name of Grodd. Salivar dashed forward, knocked the gun out of his hands and knocked him unconscious. Let's go before Grodd finds out we're here. Suddenly an alarm went off. Too late. Flash set his Green Lantern, got in front of him. No, that's a launch alarm. They saw several missiles fly up to a hole in the field. Stop, Grow, I'll go after the missiles, Green Lantern ordered, following after the missiles. Earlier with Wonder Woman, Jean, Hawkgirl and Batman in Africa. Batman looked behind him as he studied the field. There's no question this energy field is the same as the one in Central City, he said. His girl ta the field and we couldn't break through that one. As they were talking, a turret came out and shocked them. When they woke up they saw they were in a room handcuffed. The door opened, showing two gorillas, one with dark fur with a gun and the other with brown and a scar over his left blind eye. Where are we? Who's in charge? Wonder Woman asked as the brown fur gorilla looked to her. That's not how this works, he said, walking up to her. You can't answer my questions. Hawkgirl just stared at him. Sure, just get us out of these cuffs. It is not policy to allow spies to roam free, he said before Jean spoke up. We are not spies and you can't he screamed as the cuffs shocked him. As the gorilla continued asking questions, Batman picked the lock on his cuffs. Suddenly Batman broke free and threw a bullet at the gorilla before grappling up and threw two bangs at Wonder Woman and John's cuffs, getting out. They knocked the gorillas out and Jan broke Hawkgirl's cuffs. Walking to her mace, Hawkgirl screamed as she made a hole in the wall and they flew out with Batman grappling to the next building. The brown-furred gorilla picked up a microphone. Security. Several gorillas on flying bikes followed after they came to the edge of the city and Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl hit the field, forcing them to fall. Jan flew down and caught them as Batman ran up. It's over. Humans. Turning around they saw the gorilla with the blind eye with others sitting on bikes. Suddenly the field went down. What? Get the field back up, he ordered to the gorilla beside him. The gorilla picked up a remote but couldn't bring it up. It's no use, something's blocking our signal. The first gorilla growled. Grow, evacuate the village. Turning around he flew a few feet before Hawkgirl spoke up. We could help. Stopping the gorilla looked to them. And how would you help? Hawkgirl smirked and lifted her mace that's covered in electricity. A few minutes later they saw two missiles coming to the city. Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl and John flew up to them and John phased through one, bringing out the explosive with him. Hawkgirl hits the second, having explode, but the front fell to the city. Wonder Woman flew in front and tried to stop it. As she came to the ground she started skidding, leaving small tracks on the ground. Herod, give me strength. The missile stopped but fell on her. Diana, Batman yelled, running over to help her out. She pushed the missile off her and crushed the explosive in her hand. Your city is safe, she yelled out as the gorillas cheered and beat their chests. Military base. Earlier the first missiles offline, Sarah said as Grow looked at the screen. But how? He asked before hearing a voice behind him. That would be the work of our gray friend with the power rain. Turning back he saw the heroes with Salivar. You're under arrest for crime against Gorilla City, Grodd, Salivar said, pointing a gun at Grodd. Second missiles offline. Grodd growled and tackled Salivar. Flash sped behind him and tapped the helmet, pushing it down on Grodd. Try and catch me, he said, dashing around the room quickly, hitting Grow every now and then. The third missile's offline, Sarah said as Grow tried to hit Flash. Stand still, he yelled out before Flash stopped in front of him. Try fighting me without your helmet, he said, picking up his headband and throwing it over to the other side of the room. Idiot, Cheetah said, face paling as Naruto sighed. Yeah, but he must have some sort of plan, he replied as Grodd smirked. The last missile has been deactivated. Grodd looked back for a second before turning his attention to Flash. You really are imbecile, Flash glared at him. Well, yo. Naked Naruto face pet and shook his head. You really need to work on your comebacks, he said as Broad turned his helmet on, was suddenly shocked and fell to the floor unconscious. You fool, what have you done? Sarah asked, running over and fell to her knees. I crossed the wires when I tapped the helmet. Sarah wiped some tears from her eyes. You killed the greatest mind the world has ever known. Flash walked over and placed his hand on her shoulder. It'll be all right now that you're not under his control, Flash said as Sarah glared at him. He never used that on me. I loved him. The heroes looked on in show. CK at her internet romances. Go figure, Flash said with a shrug, looking back to the others later. Gorilla City, I'm sorry we misjudge you. We can never repay you, the gorilla officer said. His Flash smirked. No biggie, but what about Grodd, he asked as Solivar motioned them to follow. I'll show you going outside. They saw Grodd in a pen holding a banana, pushing a tire swing with a blank look on his face. The feedback from his helmet completely wiped out his mind, Solivar said as Naruto walked up. Any chances he'll recover, he asked as Solivar shook his head. No, I don't think so. He'll see the best of care. Flash suddenly ran to Green Lantern. Not bad, huh? I outsmarted a super genius, he said with a smirk as Cheetah walked past him. I guess you not as dumb as the villains say you are, she replied with a smirk. Flash nodded before catching on. Hey, I resent that no one makes a monkey out of me, he yelled out as they left. They never noticed Grodd stop pushing the tire, crush the banana and glare at them. Gotham City Biotech Laboratory. At night, a guard was walking back and forth in front of the entrance before a pair of legs came down and wrapped around his neck. Falling unconscious, the person dropped, reviling cop. Her head, he's down, she said. His shade Grundy Sapphire and two women walked up. The first woman is of Asian descent with short hair in black red armor with a red visor that went around her head with a katana on her back. The second is a blonde-haired woman in a white costume with gold jewelry and wrist protectors. Well done, Copperhead, the blonde woman said before turning to Grundy. Grundy, be a dear and get the door, she said sweetly as Grundy walked up and put his hand on the scanner. After a moment he frowned before punching the scanner and pulled the wires out. The door opened and the group walked in. Do NT move, a guard said as he and three others ran to them. Sukuri, the other woman, unshed her sword and attacked the guards by jumping in the air and kicking the guards down, knocking them out. The first woman sighed. We're behind schedule, Shade cover us, she said as Shade used his cane to cover the hall. Shadow coming up to a safe. The woman looked thoughtful for a moment. It won't be long until the police respond to the silent alarm. Sapphire walked up to the safe and grinned. I've got this. Shooting a beam out, she started to cut a hole in the safe. Walking in, they saw a plant in a glass tube in the DDLE of the room. At last, here it is. Grundy leaned to Copperhead. What we stealing, he asked as she shrugged. Don't know, don't care as long as we get paid, she replied before they left. Not noticing a shadow figure move from the rafters, suddenly a bull is wrapped around Shade. He and Copperhead turned only to be kicked by Batman. What, the woman asked as Sapphire raised a hand. Don't worry, I got him. She started attacking Batman, who went around a corner. Sapphire walked over and Batman jumped up to a mirror and used it to reflect Sapphire's energy back to her. Grundy ran over and punched at him. Batman blocked using the mirror. Batman jumped over him, threw a batang over and shocked him. Sukuri ran over and slashed at him with her katana. After cutting some pipes, she tripped him and tried to stab him, only for Batman to kick her into a wall, knocking her out. The blonde woman started running and was caught by Batman's grapple gun. Who are you? Batman asked as the woman scoffed. I answered, to no man, especially you. Breaking the rope, she ran to and threw Batman into a wall before lifting him over her head and threw him at a pipe, knocking him out. She never notices him drop her necklace as she left. Barris, Naruto and Wonder Woman. A crowd gathered outside the store, seeing Naruto and Wonder Woman in the store, with Wonder Woman looking at jewelry as Cage dating her. Also, I know in that new interview he did with Lois he's dating Batgirl and another woman, one whispered to another. Inside, Naruto stood beside Diana as she looked at a pair of earrings. See anything you like, he asked as she walked backwards facing him. No, she stopped hitting a mannequin. Naruto walked behind her, catching an arm that fell off and fixed it back on. Catching up to her, he saw Diana come up to a seller talking to a customer. Are about lipstick that's so defiantly your color dog you think so miss the cellar trailed off as she and the other woman eyes widened. Why would anyone cover their natural beauty, she asked as the woman standing beside her snorted. Easy for you to say, Miss Cheekbones. Now what about autumn summer? Naruto walked up to Diana and looked to the two women. Don't worry about that. I blame the media for saying women aren't beautiful unless they look like models and buy their products. Do men have that problem? She asked as Naruto thought for a moment. Kind of. I've only see it for kids and teens that are a little fat, he explained before they came up to the perfume counter. The seller sprayed some on Diana, who grabbed the woman. Whoa, Wonder Woman, she's just giving you a sample of the product, Nar said, grabbing her by the wrist. The woman nodded quickly and explained, it's the latest scent. You wear this and you'll have to beat the man off with a stick. Diana started walking out of the store. Trust me, I don't need a stick. Rubbing the back of his head over his hood, Naruto chuckled sheepishly. Sorry about that. She was raised to be a warrior and she already has to beat the men off, he said before catching up to her. Looking at a man in a truck who wouldn't back up to let a woman that's parked out. Men, she said, walking over. Hey, we're not all like that. That one's just a lazy jerk. Naruto defended himself as he watched Diana lift the truck up and let the woman out. Thank you, but putting the truck down, she tapped the glass. The man shakily rolled the window down. Next time, mind your manners, she said as the man glanced to Naruto, who waved his hands and mouthed, don't drag me down and just go. Wonder Woman cage. Looking to their left, they saw Batman standing in an alleyway following him up to a roof. He explained, a robbery that took place earlier and that one woman may be from Fissy and Amazon. That's ridiculous, Wonder Woman said, crossing her arms. Batman threw her the necklace he grabbed. I don't think so. I took this from her. It's an Amazon design, right? He asked. His Wonder Woman looked up to him. It could be fake, she aid, throwing it back to him. Besides, Amazon don't steal. It's not our code and we never leave the island. Naruto, who's kept quiet, finally spoke up. You left, didn't you? He asked, stopping her and having her look to him. Abandoned factory Injustice Gang 1. The blonde woman was drawing planes for the next EIST on a whiteboard as the others watched. I know it seems complex, but if everyone does their part, we'll crack this place wide open. Sapphire, who laying on some boxes, spoke up. What exactly are we stealing? She asked as the women glanced over her shoulder. AG depository worth $25 million. Sapphire sat up in interest as the others smiled. Gems, count me in. Grundy scratched his head before speaking up. Grundy, not sure. The woman walked up to him and ran her hand through his hair. We need everyone. Big man walking up to a chest, she continued. Would a little advance persuade you? She asked, opening the chest showing gold coin jewelry and bars. The other's eyes widened as she picked up a bar and handed it to Grundy. What about the Justice League? Grundy, not want to fight them again. The woman brought her hand to his face and trailed his jawline. Don't worry about them, I'll take care of everything later. The gem depository. The blonde hair woman grabbed a guard and chalked him out. She puts a hand to her ear. Everyone in position, she asked, and after a moment heard everyone's reply. Copperhead in position, Shade and Grundy in position, Star Sapphire in position, Sukuri in position. Nodding, she replied, okay. I'll take care of the guards inside along with security cameras and meet you all at the vault. She walked to the front door and ripped it off the hinges. Looking up, she saw a camera. This is a message to the Justice League. As I speak, my friends are robbing the gem depository. Just try and stop us, she sighed before walking down the hall and saw the others with a bag each full of jewels. Walking over to herself, she picked up a ruby. Go on, I'll handle the rest, she said as the others but Sukuri walked out. I'll stay with you. The woman shook her head. No, that's all right. Sukuri tried to argue, but the woman her up. Go, she simply said as Sukuri shrugged and walked to the group with Sapphire creating a bubble around them and leave outside. Cops quickly surrounded the entrance. I don't care, Sergeant, get your men to their positions, the captain yelled into his walkie-talkie before the Injustice Gang left. In the sky, they suddenly saw Superman fly in a broken window and talk with a blonde-haired woman. You might want to put that back. The woman smirked and held up a big ruby. Why don't you take it? Superman shrugged and tried to reach for it, only for the woman to grab his arm and twist it behind him. She turned him around and kicked him into the wall, leaving an imprint on it. Getting up, Superman stared at him. You're stronger than you look, but you won't win, he said as the woman smirked and reached behind her. Really? She asked, pulling out a smoke grenade and threw it at him. Black smoke came out and Superman Started coughing. See ya, she said as Superman started sweating. She jumped out, ran past the police and into an alleyway where she ran into Wonder Woman. In Naruto, Diana, she asked as Wonder Woman's eyes widened. Arya, the now named Arya, threw Wonder Woman into a wall, dodged an arrow shot by Naruto and kicked him through another wall. I'd love to stay and chat, but you might want to help your friend. Looking to the gem depository, Wonder Woman saw Superman fall to the ground. She quickly flew over to him as Naruto walked out of the hole holding his head. Oh, why is it almost every woman I meet has super strength or wants to beat me up? He asked before seeing Arya gone and Wonder Woman with an unconscious Superman dashing over. Green Lantern and Flash came over to them. What's wrong with the big guy? Flash asked as Wonder Woman spoke up. I'm not sure he was like this after I met Arya. The others raised an eyebrow as Naruto pressed the button on his glasses. He's very sick. Arya must have given him something before we got to her, he said. His Wonder Woman stood up with Superman. I'll take him to the watchtower. She flew away as Green Lantern looked around using his ring. I found something, he said as the ring showed a red residue where Superman fell. Naruto scanned it and after a moment an info box came up. It's some kind of chemical. It must be what she gave Superman, he said as they continued to look around. Later, Hawkgirl at Thaisira. Hawkgirl landed on a tree near a beach and puts a hand to her ear. Batum and Cage, I've reached Thaisira now. What? She asked, looking up at the Badjet. For now, see what you can dig up, Batman said over the earpiece. And be careful, Naruto finished as Hawkgirl nodded. Roger that. Hawkgirl out staying in the trees. She saw several Amazon with some wearing armor looking around. This is a waste of time. Whoever done this wouldn't dare stay on the island, a dark-skinned woman said as another walked beside her. Maybe, but we have our orders, she replied before hearing a snap. Looking up, they spotted Hawkgirl and aimed their weapons at her. Wait, I may fry. Hawkgirl was forced to dodge an AT thrown up at her. Get her, don't let her get away. One threw a boulder at her but she flew under it, got her. One dropped a net over her and Hawkgirl fell down, wrapping her hands behind her. The Amazon took Hawkgirl to Hippolyta. We've captured the thief, my queen, one said as they roughly pushed Hawkgirl up. I'm not a thief, she said as Hippolyta raised an eyebrow. Then you're denying that you took the gold, Hippolyta said as Hawkgirl nodded. I'm a friend of your daughter Diana, Hawkgirl replied as Ola's eyes widened and motioned to let Hawkgirl go. What are you doing here? Hippolyta asked as Hawkgirl explained. Ned, I'm here investigating a crime we believe in Amazon is involved, Hawkgirl replied as Hippolyta looked down. This is a serious accusation. What proof do you have? She asked as Hawkgirl showed her Aura's necklace. Recognized this, HTIC quickly came down and grabbed the necklace. Ready, my horse, she ordered. The others later. Hippolyta and Hawkgirl came to a tower on the edge of the island. Arya is supposed to be here in solitary meditation. Walking up to the top, they saw an empty room. It looks like no one's been here in weeks, Hawkgirl said before turning to Hippolyta. Why was she here? Was she in some sort of trouble? Hippolyta shook her head and started explaining. No, this was the last step in her rebirthing. She went on to explain that AR is an orphan that lost everything when an army destroyed her home village and pirates attacked the ship she and her family boarded to America and sunk the ship, and how she found her washed up on shore and they adopted her, trained her and gave her the Amazonian strength. I wondered if we did the right thing. Still, how could we refuse? Hippolyta asked this. Hawkgirl sighed. You couldn't, she replied before looking around and saw a sheet over a chest. Maybe this will give us some answers. Opening it up, she saw books and maps. What is it? Hippolyta asked as H-girl picked up a book. Books, maps and city guides, she replied looking over her shoulder. Those things are forbidden, Hippolyta said as Hawkgirl turned around. Why? She asked with Hippolyta explaining. We believe that contact with the outside world will corrupt us. Looking down at the book in her hands, Hawkgirl sighed. I think you're right, she said looking at the title that read History of Germ Warfare, Watchtower, Wonder Woman and John. His issue continues to worsen, Jan said over Superman with his shirt and cap off showing sores on his chest. He's practically invulnerable. What could affect him? Diana asked as Jean scanned Superman. Unfortunately, there isn't much data on Kryptonian physiology, but I'll do my best to help him, Jan said as Diana nodded and puts a hand on his shoulder. I know you will, Jean. Get a bed ready. They Rode Naruto's voice over their earpieces. Looking out, Diana saw her jet without the cloaking on and flew to the hangar. When she got there, she saw Green Lantern holding unconscious Flash. What happened? Diana asked as she saw Flash with gray veins over his face. I don't know. Flash collapsed as Green Lantern trailed off, falling over Lantern, she exclaimed before Naruto walked out holding his head cage. Are you all right? Diana asked, running to him. Naruto waved her off before replying. Yeah, Kurorama said he keeping whatever this virus that's affecting us from falling unconscious, but I'll be queasy, he replied, wiping the sweat from his face, and helped Diana carry the others to the med bay. Batman and Hawk Girl in the bad jet. So AR is not from the Mr. Batman asked, looking back to Hawk Girl, who nodded. Yes, she's an orphan. I can only imagine the kind of damage that will do to a child. Batman looked forward until his radio went off of multiple crashes and sick people being rushed to the hospital. Flying back to Gotham, they saw a building on fire and crashed cars with women firefighter, cops and paramedics everywhere. On another building, Arya, Sukuri, Sapphire and Copperhead watched everything. So this virus only affects men? Sukuri asked as they turned to Arya, who nodded. Yes, that's right, that's why you three didn't collapse when I threw that grenade, she said. His Sapphire looked at her confused. Why, what do you have to gain from this, she asked as Arya looked at her surprised. Why, look around you. Arya gestured round to the multiple burning buildings. This world has been corrupted by men. I intend to get rid of that. The three women looked on wide-eyed. Down below, Batman handed an unconscious boy to Hawk Girl. Lucky I found this one. Nodding, Hawk Girl flew away, not noticing Batman falter for a second. Batman Lu King ahead. Batman saw Wonder Woman and Naruto walking to him. You were right, it was a rogue Amazon. That's Batman raised a hand, silencing her. I know, I still can't believe that someone from my island would. She stopped when Naruto pushed her out of the way as a bus hits him going into an ally cage. Our woman yelled before the bus suddenly stopped and fell on its side. Flying over, she saw Naruto with blood on his chin, on his knees, his limbs glowing blue. Pulling his hood down, he pulled his glass passes off. Glad I had a clone, gathered natural chakra before coming here. Wonder Woman's eyes widened. And the dark pigmentation around Naruto's eyes that are yellow, and his pupils went sideways. Are you all right? She asked, walking over to him. Naruto nodded before smiling at her. Yeah, I'm more resilient in this mode. I just got cut when the bus hit me, he replied before hearing a groan. Turning around, they saw Batman on the ground sweating and panting. Watchtower, how is he? Diana asked as the others with their shirts off, and Flash and Batman still had their masks like the others. It seems to be an allergen and not a virus. I just can't isolate it, Jan replied before walking over to a desk and looked. A microscope. If only we could find their hideout and find notes or a sample. Everyone turned to Naruto, who started explaining we could reverse engineer an antidote or find one. She have made one in case she started getting women sick. Diana sighed before Hawk Girl spoke up. Where would we start? Na walked to the hangar before speaking. Easy, we'll need to find Arya. Naruto and Hawk Girl followed before Hawk Girl turned to him. Are you sure you're all right? Naruto nodded before replying, yeah, just a little queasy getting into the javelin they flew out. Ever since Arya was a child I felt a Baturns within her. She was never one of us, Diana said as Hawk Girl looked to her. I think she fits in just fine. Diana raised an eyebrow at her. What do you mean? Hawk Girl shrugged before answering, she's just taking your code to its next logical level. But we don't teach hatred. Diana defended her home until Naruto spoke up from behind her. Except against men. Hawk Girl raised an eyebrow at him before asking, then how do you explain the time you went to talk with Heel the other day? Naruto just smirked at her question. Because I'm awesome and sexy. Who? Girl deadpanned at him before turning around. Sorry, when the got back to the city, they saw Bad Girl helping the other women cage. She ran up and hugged him. I heard the others got sick and I was worried about you. Naruto smiled at her and hugged her. I'm okay, thank my furry friend for that. He leaned down and gave her a quick kiss. United States Air Force Base Ia dropped on a female guard before walking to a hangar and touched the electronic lock. Hey wait, turning around she saw two female officers running to her, but Sukuri dropped down and knocked them out. Good job, Era said before breaking the lock and walking inside to Jet. It's perfect, she said before he Airing another voice for what more betrayal. Turning around, Arya saw Howla with a gold staff. My queen, Hera said with a bow. Surely you have of all people should appreciate what I'm doing. Hippolyta shook her head before replying, no I don't, and you've defiled Amazonian laws by doing this. Hera sighed before crossing her arms. I'm sorry you feel that way. Suddenly someone dropped from the ceiling and wrapped their arms around Hole, choking her out before she blacked out. She heard Hera speak, but I've come too far to turn back now. Naruto, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl and Batgirl. All right, let's move out of fail ale fi. Refighter yelled as the heroes looked at them. Leave there, very efficient, Hawkgirl said as Wonder Woman nodded. Yes, it's like my home, she replied as Hawkgirl looked to her. Yeah, but who wants to live in a world without men? Wonder Woman looked at her confusedly for a moment. Surely they're not that important, right? Hey, don't knock it until you try it. Flying off, Hawkgirl left, leaving Batgirl to speak up. You know, Wonder Woman turned to Batgirl, who continued, it's kind of ironic with all of your island talk that men is evil and would destroy the world. The one who is from your island and follows your teaching. That girl walked over to Naruto, who was helping put the last man in an ambulance as his wife cried, I know you've never had men in your life, but Arya is going to hurt a lot of women who's married or has a son. She finished, leaving Wonder Woman to her thoughts. Girls, Naruto yelled, pointing up to a helicopter that hit some wires. Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl flew up as Naruto shot an arrow up, grabbed Batgirl by the waist and flashed up. Wonder Woman caught the helicopter but was hit with a wire and crashed on the roof. Naruto and Batgirl went to each door, opened it and got the two people out. Look out, Hawkgirl yelled as the fuel was caught on fire from a cut wire and the helicopter exploded off the roof. Hawkgirl and Wonder Woman both flew after the helicopter, and after a moment it came up with purple energy around it. Sapphire came up and landed as the heroes got ready for a fight. Hold on. I'm not here to fight but to warn you, she explained. She split with Arya after learning she wants to get rid of the men, and she's at the Air Force Airstrip, United States Air Force Base. The heroes without Naruto came in and saw Sukuri talking with Aricia. Hawkgirl attacked Sukuri as Wonder Woman flew to Aricia but was blocked by Sapphire's energy. Sorry about that, Sapphire said, floating down to Aricia. I had Sapphire bring you here to join us, Arya said as the girls shook their heads. No man's world may not be perfect, but it doesn't deserve to be wiped out, Wonder Woman said as Aricia looked surprised. You'd turn your back on your sisters, she asked before Batgirl spoke up. Please, what you're doing is just as bad if not the worst thing anyone's done, man or woman. They started attacking with the heroes winning until Arya, who was said to the J, raised her hand. Wait, I didn't want to do this, but looking to the jet they saw Copperhead bringing a tied up Hippolyta out. I don't want to hurt her. Arya trailed off his Copperhead grin, but I will unless you cooperate. Standing still, Essia and Sapphire got on board and flew out. Wonder Woman ran to the door but was stopped by Hawkgirl and Batgirl, who each held a tube with a light green liquid. We found the allergen, Thatgirl said before one woman looked to the sky. Good, you get it to Jean and I'll go after Arya, she said, flying up in the air just as the javelin hovered above them. The door opened and they flew. Grappled up. Miss anything? Naruto asked as Batgirl sat down. Arya left in that jet. She may be placing more of that allergen, she said before Hawkgirl spoke up from the co-pilot seat. We found samples of it and may reverse engineer an antidote. Nodding, Naruto brought up the Tower Med B on the monitor and saw a sickly looking Jean. Jan, Hawkgirl yelled as Jan explained there must have been some of the allergen on the other's clothes, he said before fainting. Okay, lead and go after Arya, Naruto said, pulling on the stick, and flew in the direction Wonder Woman went. Soon they came up to see Wonder Woman being attacked by Sapphire outside the jet. Naruto pushed a button, having small guns come out on the underside of the javelin. Sapphire blocked every one of the shots until Wonder Woman pulled up one of the guns from the jet, hitting Sapphire, sending her into the ocean. Wonder Woman pushed another back inside as Hawkgirl flew out but was nicked in her Wayne N. Oh, Wonder Woman said, throwing her lasso and caught Hawkgirl and brought her back up. Together they went in and attacked Copperhead and Sukuri. You fools were not your enemies, the men, or they need to be destroyed, Arya said before another voice spoke up. No, Arya. Turning back they saw Hull breaking her sea UFFS and walked up. If it wasn't for a man you wouldn't be here. She went on to explain how the captain of the ship she was on helped her to the Misha after falling unconscious and how he died after seeing her from the strain on his heart. He's the only man buried on the Misha, so it turns out you owe your life to a man. She finished as Arya looked at her in shock before glaring. Why didn't you tell me? She asked as Heel looked on sadly. I didn't think it was important. I didn't think it was important. She finished looking down. Maybe it's time to reconsider that, Hawk Girl said as Era scoffed at Hippolyte. Before asking, so everything you ever preached was a lie? Hippolyta looked up to her before replying, no, not everything. Arya took a step back. Still, one man doesn't wash the sin for all of them, she said before trying to hit the launch button. No, Hyala had tried to stop her but was punched out of the jet. With Hawk Girl flying after her, she caught Ola and brought her to the javelin. Naruto walked to her on the landing ramp and watched Hawk Girl attack the doors, keeping the missiles in. Soon Wonder Woman was sent out of the window and fire came out. Crap. Naruto quickly shot an arrow in and flashed into CIA and Copperhead coughing. Walking over, he grabbed them and flashed back to the javelin. Why? Arya asked, coughing again. Naruto smiled as he brought her to a seat, handcuffed her and applied a seal on her because it was the right thing to do, he said before doing the same to Copperhead. I knew you liked me, she said, flicking her tongue on his cheek. You know you would have been just as bad as the men you tried to get rid of, he said, ignoring Copperhead. Sometimes you have to be the better man or woman and turn the other cheek, for lack of a better word, he finished as they flew away. Later, Watchtower Soup, RGIRL and Barbara treating Naruto, who was sitting on the couch without her mask, and Kapop. Come on please, Naruto whined as Karis scoffed. No, we're not dressing up in sexy nurses' outfits, she said as a storm cloud came up over Naruto's head. They both giggled as they continued to treat him as the others taught. Ready to have your temperature taken? Looking to their left, they saw Cheetah in a nurse outfit. Yes ma'am, Naruto quickly said, sitting up as Kara stared at Cheetah. What are you doing in that? Though he decided against that, she just smirked before walking over, swaying her hips. I only agreed to that to be the only one in the outfit. She straddled Naruto's lap and leaned down for a kiss, only for the other girls to pull her off. Hey, save it for the bedroom, they both yelled at her as Naruto tried to break it up. How are you feeling? Diana asked as Bruce and John walked up. Better, it's a good thing you found Arya's note in her hideout. Diana nodded as Shira looked to a TV showing Green Lantern and Superman flying over a city. Green Lantern and Superman have almost finished putting the antidote to the city. Diana looked over to Naruto, who was laughing with Barbara, Cheetah and Kara before speaking. I hope Arya can see the good values in men. Flash walked over, drinking a soda and eating a burrito. I could have taught that bad girl a thing or two about men. Too bad we never met, he finished with a loud burp. Oh yeah, she would have loved men after speaking with you, Naruto said, walking over with his arm being held by Barbara and Kara with Cheetah hanging on his back. Shira and Diana looked at Flash with deadpan looks before glancing at each other. Maybe it's for the best, she replied with a sweat drop as Shira puts a hand to her cheek and looked away. Metropolis, look out, Naruto yelled as a giant purple robot walked down the street. He flashed down and grabbed a woman out of the way from being stepped on. Lantern looking back, he saw Green Lantern on the street unconscious. Damn, who's controlling this thing, he asked. His Hawk Girl attacked it with her mace but was hit. Superman and John flew on and rammed into it. There must be a weakness, Supergirl yelled out as she helped Hawk Girl up. Flash dashed around unscrewing bolts on the feet, having the metal fall off. Who Girl flew up and acted but was hit by the robot. John flew over and caught her but was slammed into a building and both fell near Green Lantern. Superman and Supergirl flew up to the back and made a small hole. Now Batman, Superman yelled as Batman threw a battering in the robot, having it explode and fall down over Green Lantern. Jean and Hayat Girl guys, Naruto yelled before flashing over as Flash ran around them to slow the robot down as it shocked Superman and Supergirl said them over to a building. The robot exploded, leaving a crater and distorted buildings. No cage. Supergirl flew down to the crater and looked around. No, she whispered, seeing a part of his coat on the ground. Naruto, Flash, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl and Johan. Everyone groaned as they sat up. Everyone all right? Naruto asked, holding his head as everyone stood up. Superman, Green Lantern yelled as Naruto looked up. I don't think we're in Metropolis. The others looked to him confusedly. What do you mean? Hawk Girl asked as Naruto sighed, because the buildings we Were it or defiantly bigger than 3 stories. Looking up, they saw that the building indeed was only 3 stories high. I'll try calling them, Naruto said, putting a hand to his ear. Superman, Supergirl, Batman, nothing. Maybe the blast damaged them, he said as Ja closed his eyes. I'll try telepathic consent. Trading for a moment, Jean fell over screaming. Easy, big guy, Flash said as he and Hayat Girl caught him. Maybe whoever was controlling that robot did something to keep us from contacting them and transported us somewhere, Naruto said before Green Lantern spoke up. Okay, let's see where we are. They all Seppa raided, with Naruto following after Green Lantern to a street and saw people walking around dressed like the 50s. What the, Naruto asked, seeing old cars go by. Flash dashed over to that. Something's not right, Green Lantern commented before seeing an ice cream truck go by as the driver waved and smiled at them. I haven't seen truck like that since I was a kid, he finished as Flash raised an eyebrow. Maybe we went back in time, he asked as Naruto picked up a newspaper. No, it's today's date, but look at the name, he said, showing them the paper. Seaboard City. Where the heck is that? Flash asked before hearing an alarm go off. Looking to their right, they saw a man with wild orange hair in a pink tuxedo with an accordion around his neck come out of a music center holding a violin. A police car came up and 2 police officers walked out. Give up the Stradivarius. Music master puts the violin in a bag and attacks them with the accordion that shot out yellow energy as he played it. He jumped in a flute-shaped car and sped off, only for Green Lantern to grab the car with his rein. Hold it. Looking back, Music Man smirked. Your disguise can't fool me, Green Guardsman. Green Lantern raised an eyebrow. Green Guardsman, he asked. His Music Man attacked him with his accordion, sending him to the music center, having debris fall. Naruto flashed over and got the police out of the way. Green Lantern got up and grabbed the bag with his rein. Dang, Music Master said, leaving them as Green Lantern gave the bag to Oh, Flash, hold it right there. Looking up, they saw a man with brown hair, yellow sweatshirt with a blue tie on it, black pants, blue tights with a belt with a big silver buckle with a fan and silver wrist protectors. The man turned the belt on and electricity came out on the man's hands. You know, crime doesn't pay, he said, jumping down. Hey, wait, where Naruto was hit by the man and sent flying into a tree. Soon more people came up as Hawk Girl and Jan flew down. Looking up, Green Lantern's eyes widened, seeing a man with tan skin and white hair in a costume like his bed with a mask, cape and a shield logo and raw. In no way, he said in disbelief as Naruto groaned and looked up to the 2 that stopped in front of him, a man and a woman. The woman has long blonde hair in a black mask, leotard boots, shoulder-high gloves and fishnet stockings. The man was in a black cat-themed costume, wild cat, black canary. The 2 raised an eyebrow. No, I'm Catman and this is Black Siren. Catman introduced them before attacking him. Naruto blocked their punches before punching Catman and kicking Black Siren. Looking to his right, Naruto saw another Flash, but with small yellow tights and a helmet instead of a mask. They continued attack until Flash stopped and helped a blonde-haired boy from being crushed by falling debris. Wait, the other Flash yelled, getting in between Hawk Girl and the brown-haired man. No one who would risk their own life for another could be evil, he said. His Flash stopped by with the boy. I think we should talk later. They were at a mansion with a big round table with an American shield in the middle and Justice Guild of America on the edge. Justice Guild roll call. One by one they introduced themselves. Catman, Black Siren, Green Guardsman, Tom Turbine. Finally the other Flash walked up the streak. Naruto's nickered before being elbowed by Hawk Girl. What, come on, how can you not laugh at that? Naruto asked. Do she just crossed her arms and stared? Naruto just sighed and dropped his head as Green Lantern introduced them. And this is our Justice Guild, Junior Justice Guildsman Ray Thompson. The streak introduced the boy as Naruto looked to Hawk Girl. That's a mouthful. I wonder if that fits on a card, he asked her as she smiled. Suddenly Jean groaned and slumped over. Jean, what's wrong? Hawk Girl asked as she and Naruto caught him. I just got dizzy. It's so strange. The streak came up to him. Nothing, a tall cold glass of milk won't cure, he said with a smile. Yeah, this is the 50s, Naruto said to Hawk Girl. His Black Siren walked over and puts a hand on her shoulder. Why don't we go cook and let the men talk? Hawk Girl calmly took Siren's hand off her. They can talk all they am. Green Lantern pulled her away to talk. Excuse As for a moment Naruto walked up to Siren and smiled. I'll help out with the cooking. He walked with the women as the others talked. So you stop crime and cook. How do you find the time? Hawk Girl asked as they left. This can't be real, Green Lantern said as he looked around. Tell me about it. I almost busted out laughing at the intro. Flash said, crossing his arms with a smirk. No, I mean the Justice Guild, they comic book characters. Green Lantern said. His Flash turned to him and raised an eyebrow. What? He asked. His Green Lantern explained. When I was a kid, my Uncle James had the biggest comic book collection I've ever seen, and he pointed to the guild or the stars to my favorite comic, the Justice Guild of America. He finished his Hawk Girl. Siren and Naruto walked out, each holding a plate of cookies and milk. Hey Cookie, Flash greeted Hawk Girl with a smirk as he tried to pick up a cookie. One word and why? I'll be the fastest man with a limp, she threatened, pulling the tray away before walking past him. In Justice Guild hideout, Music Man sat down at a table with 3 other people. The first is wearing an old sport uniform with SM on the front of his shirt and a mask. The second is dressed like a magician. And the third is dressed like a doctor with icy skin. I'm telling you, they had the same powers and even looked similar to the Streak and Green Guardsman. The sportsman stood up as he bounces a basketball. Fiddlesticks, instead of manning up and admit you lost, you make up these phantom heroes, he said. For the doctor-themed villain blasted the ball with ice. Cool, it's sportsman. Sportsman glared at the man. You want a piece of me, Dr. Blizzard? He asked, pulling out a boomerang. The Magicite turned the boomerang into a bouquet of flowers. Enough squabbling, I propose a contest. No, a wager, he said, standing up. Smiling sportsman raised an eyebrow and smirked. A bet. I'm game, the magician explained his plan. Each of us will try to commit the most spectacular crime, and the winner will have the honor of devising the plan to destroy the Justice Guild. He created a small statue of Green Guardsman in his hands and acting these new heroes disappear. He touched the statue, making it disappear in a cloud of smoke forever. He finished with a smirk. Justice Guild's basement laboratory. Tom was writing on a blackboard as he explained the multiverse theory. Flash, I think you absorbed the blast and matched our Earth's vibe ration, he said before Jean finished for him and created a tear in the dimensional barrier and brought us here. The others stared at Flash for a moment before he spoke up. Hey, I didn't know it was an accident, he defended himself as Green Lantern walked over to Tom. But that doesn't explain how there's a Justice Guild comic in our world, he said to Tom. But JN spoke up. Maybe the creators had a psychic link to this world. What they thought was imagination was a link of the Justice Guild's real exploits. Tom nodded and puts his hands on his waist. I couldn't have put it better myself. Hot Girl frowned and rossed her arms. Fascinating, but how are we going to get back to our world? Tom walked over to something big covered in a sheet. Pulling the sheet off, he showed a red circular gate with tubes on it. I've been working on a transdimensional gateway for a while. Hot Girl looked at him and asked, so you can say it to send us home? Tom shook his head and looked to the gate. No, I haven't been able to find a suitable power source. The others looked down and thought for a moment. So I guess you're stuck with this for a while. Hey, Hot Girl said solemnly before they headed back upstairs to the others. I'll work around the clock to get the gate to work, Tom said as he opened the door and walked inside the room. Well, how about coffee and desserts? Black Siren Streak said, directing the last to Black Siren. Sure thing, Chief, she replied, jumping off the table and going to the kitchen. Hawk Girl, she asked, looking back over her shoulder. Hawk Girl's eyebrow twitched and she growled lowly, I am not getting dessert. Naruto walked up and puts a hand on her shoulder. I know this is hard, but you know this is how women were at least portrayed in the 50s, he said before the doorbell rang. Well saved by the bell, he finished as the Streak went to answer the door. Oh, hello, Sergeant O'Shaughnessy, he greeted the older of the 2 policemen that was at the door, both with light brown hair, with Sean's balding. Sorry to come unannounced, but we received this letter and rushed over. Not as fast as you though, said, handing the Streak a letter. WL for someone without super speed. You rushed here just as fast, the Streak said with a smile and waved them goodbye. Jeeper Streak, what does it say? Roy asked, running over as the Streak opened and read the letter out to the Justice Guild. Prepare for our most heinous crime yet, a crime spree based on He 4 elements of the world: water, fire, wind, and earth. Catch us if you can. Dastardly yours, the Injustice Guild. Naruto and Hawk Girl deadpanned at that. What kind of criminals tip off the authorities? Hawk Girl asked with a sweat drop as Green Guardsman answered, the worst kind. I bet there's not enough Good between them to care for a wounded puppy. Green Lantern walked up to the streak. We'll help too. The streak nodded and looked to Ray. The decoder rings. Running over to a bookshelf, Ray pulled one and revealed a small table with a box on it. He ran back to the streak and handed him the box. There no time to officially induct you to the guild, but consider yourselves honorary members, he said, opening the box, revealing rings with the Justice Guild logo on them. This is unreal. You could order rings just like this on the back of the comics, Green Lantern said, putting his on. Nice plastic. Flash said as Streak puts the box down. We'll need to split into teams if we'll have a chance at stopping the Injustice Guild. Flash dashed beside Black Siren on her right. I vote we go with the person on our left. I guess we'll be teammates, he said, directing the last part to Black Siren. Can I come? Roy asked, excite. DLY as Jean spoke up. It would be too dangerous. Sure thing, buddy. Catman interrupted him and walked to the door. That's strange, Naruto said as Jean looked to him. I know this is the 50s and crimes wasn't as bad as it is now, but I don't think they took kids out unless they had powers or was trained. Also the why all went outside with Green Guardsman and Hawk Girl in a team. I'll stay here and work the gate. Getting you home is also the utmost important, Tom said, going back downstairs. Naruto, Streak and Green Lantern in another, Flash and Black Siren in a team, Catman, Jean and Roy in the last streak, Green Lanta, RN and Naruto. There's only one thing for the fire crime, the gem of Rudin. It's at the museum, Streak said to the others as they flew with. Green Lantern used his ring on Naruto. You know you stuff. I'm impressed, Green Lantern said to him as they continued down the street. It's an honor to fight beside you. When they got to the museum, they saw the magician coming out. Halt, the Streak yelled out as the magician smirked. No, I've got something better. He used his wand and attacked them. Naruto jumped and shot an arrow at him, but the magician changed it into a balloon. Damn, those are not cheap, Naruto cursed before refolding his bow and attacked the magician. The magician went into a phone booth and disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Flash and Black Siren came up to the city square and saw Dr. Blizzard at a frozen dolphin statue. Hey Blizzard, Flash said, kicking him and dropping Black Siren. We putting you on ice. Dr. Blizzard grinned up at him. Sorry to give you the cold shoulder. He shot ice blades at them, forcing the heroes to dodge them. They continued dodging each one, leaving ice and snow on the ground. I'm just getting warmed up, Flash said before speeding around Dr. Blizzard and grabbed his headband. You don't have a snowball's chance in. Black Siren interrupted him. Flash, she pointed to an empty truck with dynamite speeding towards a bus of nuns. You have to be kidding me. Flash dropped the headband and sped over to the truck, getting in the driver's seat and swerved out of the busway and came in front of a building. Oh come on, he said, trying to hit the brakes, but the truck wouldn't stop. Jumping out, the truck hits the building and explodes. Flash, Black Siren exclaimed, rushing over. Dr. Blizzard froze them and smirked. I think I caught the greatest prize of all. Catman, Jean and Roy take tea. He controls Roy, Catman ordered as he jumped off the motorcycle and onto the truck. Sportsman looked back and saw Jean. What's this, a new player? Take this, birdie, he said, hitting a badminton birdie over that exploded, sending Catman to the hood of the truck. Jan grabbed him and brought I am back to the motorcycle. Jean suddenly screamed and fell down to the ground. Looking up, he saw an explosion that destroyed the city. John, Catman yelled, turning around and went back, leaving Sportsman to get away. Hawk and Green Guardsman flying to the Air Museum. They saw Music Master fly out in the fur Saint airplane. My hunch was right. He's after that priceless airplane, Green Guardsman said. His Hawk Girl greeted her. Mace, leave it to me, she said, flying in front of the plane. She tried to hit Music Master but was blocked by a green baseball glove. What are you doing? She asked as Green Guardsman looked to That's a piece of aviation history, he said as she looked to the plane. Then how do you purpose we stop it? She asked as Green Guardsman flew forward. By using our wits, flying up behind the plane. Hawk Girl looked to Green Guardsman. You go right and I'll take the left, she said as he looked confused. But what about the plane? He asked as she smirked and flew to the left. I'll be gentle. They each attacked, but Music Master dodged them and hits a scaffold, cutting one of the ropes. You steady the scaffold, I'll go after him. Green Guardsman stopped her before she could fly. I can't, my power won't work. On aluminum she sighed as she went to the scaffold grate. Picking one man up the scaffold fell and Green Guardsman grabbed the other with his rein. Stay here, HOTG girl ordered before flying after Music Master who was over a graveyard. It's time to face the music, he said, getting up and attacked her with his accordion. She fell down beside 5 tombstones with vines over them. After a minute she woke up and saw Music Master got away. Damn, she cursed before seeing something on the tombstone catching her eye. Pulling the vines off the first one she gasped, seeing the name Scott Mason. The Green Guardsman. No way, she said before looking at the others and seeing the names of the other heroes. Later she told Green Lantern, Jean and Naruto what she saw. I'm telling the truth, the heroes are dead. Green Lantern looked back and saw Green Guardsmen in the street talking. It doesn't make any sense, he said as Naruto crossed his arms. Could they be clones so that the city could protect themselves from the villains, he asked as Green Lantern shook his head. No, I don't believe it. He flew off in the direction of the graveyard. I'll go after him, Hawk Girl said before Naruto walked over. I'll go also. Hawk Girl picked him up and flew after Green Lantern as Jean looked to the Heroes Injustice Guild. That's why I lead in Steel, Sportsman said, putting a gold trophy on the table. I beg to differ, Music Master said, pointing to the plane above them. The magician make the gem reappear. I guess we'll have to wait for Dr. Blizzard to see who won, he said before they heard a voice behind them. They then saw Dr. Blizzard on a block of ice with Flash and Black Siren frozen from the neck down. I think I won our wager, he said as the other smiled. So it seems, Music Master said looking to the trapped Heroes Justice Guild. Jean faced Incid as the streak looked to him. No word, he asked as Jean shook his head. Suddenly the phone rang and the streak answered it. Hello, he said before on as he spoke. Streak, the Injustice Guild robbed the First National and they're leaving in a blimp. The streak sighed before replying only they would commit a heinous act, and on a Sunday too, he said before hanging up. Let's go, he ordered as they left. Later they caught up to the blimp and saw Flash and Black Siren tied on the side. Let's get them, Tom said as Jean and Green Guardsman flew up but was attacked by Music Master, Sportsman and the Magician. Looks like it's up to me, Catman said before detaching the sidecar. Rode in a building, went up to the roof and jumped on the blimp, hooking onto the metal bracket. Catman grappled down into the blimp and attacked the villains Naruto, Hawk Girl and Green Lantern. Earlier Naruto and Hawk Girl landed behind Green Lantern, who was kneeling in front of the graves. You all right, she asked as Green Lantern nodded. You were right, he said as Naruto looked to the city. What now, he asked as Green Lantern looked at his Justice Guild's reign. We need answers. Flying back to the city they spotted the ice cream truck earlier landing in front of the truck. Green Lantern raised a hand. Stop walking up. Green Lantern pointed to the heroes' graves. What can you tell me about those graves? The man looked nervous for a second. Oh, nothing, I need to get back to my route. Green Lantern grabbed him by the shirt. What route? I've walked you all day and you've never stopped. It has been slow. Naruto interrupted him. Tell us the truth, what is going on here, he asked before the man started sweating. I can't say he hears. He finished getting out of Green Lantern's grip and off. Have a nice day. Naruto stared at him as he turned around. That was strange, he said to them, crossing his arms. Where to now? Lead and find a library. They flew in the air and after a few minutes came to the library. Walking inside they saw the lights were off and it was empty. Hello, Green Lantern yelled before walking up to a bookcase and pulling a book out. Ank, he said, seeing no words on the pages. He continued to look through book after book and seeing that they all blank. They're useless, he yelled, pushing a shelf full of books to the floor. Lead and find the newspaper archive downstairs. Who? Girl said as the others nodded, walking to a staircase. Naruto led out a flashlight from his pants pocket and walked down to a door. Opening it, they came face to face with a brick wall. Of course, Naruto said before Hawk Girl brought her mace up. I've had enough of this, she yelled, hitting the wall and breaking it. A subway? Naruto asked, seeing the broken subway with a derailed train with bullet holes in it. An earthquake perhaps? Green Lantern asked as Hawk Girl walked over to the train. No, these are battle scars. Walking around, Green Lantern stepped on a newspaper. Peace talks failed warriors. Picking it up, he read it before throwing it to Hawk Girl. Read the date. Look Ing at the paper. Ha girl looked back to him 40 years ago nodding. Green Lantern continued. Same date as the last Justice Guild comic. Justice Guild. Later the police put Music Master in a car and rode off. I swear they're the only two cops in the city. Flash commented before they went back to the Mancio. And saw Green Lantern, Hawk Girl and Naruto sitting at the table. Some friends the Justice Guild had to save me, Flash said as he pointed back to the others. They're not the Justice Guild. Green Lantern said, standing up. What? Flash asked as Naruto held up a paper. JGA dies in battle, the streak asked as Naruto nodded. Yes, the real Justice Guild died over 40 years ago. Their graves are in the graveyard, he said before the phone rang. The streak dashed to answered it. Hello, a robots attacking were on it. The guild tried to leave by a green brick wall blocked them. We're not done here, Green Lantern said as the streak tried to reason with him, but the city needs us. Naruto shook his head and explained how come nothing makes sense. Ice cream trucks that never stops, empty library, and only two cops in a big city. He threw the paper down at them as Hog Girl continued, and how dangers spring up whenever someone gets too close to the truth. What truth? Green Guardsman asked, raising an eyebrow. That your world is fake and the real Justice Guild died for this earth. Green Lantern finished solemnly as the guild looked to each other. If what you're saying if true, who or what's doing this? Tom asked as Jean walked up. I suggest you ask Rai. Rai looked nervous, his all eyes are on him. What are you talking about? How could I do this? He asked before Jean walked up, and both their eyes glowed. Because you're the source, Ray screamed before the illusion on him fell, revealing a deformed man with a big head and pink skin. You ruined everything, he yelled as a robot pulled the roof off, and Flash gulped. That's it, I want to go home, he said as the guild started attacking the robots. Wait, Ray, the source beat him and it'll all go away, Green Lantern said. His Flash was about to go help the guild. This is my world, Rai said, creating coup. ICK sand for Flash to fall. Whoever tried attacking him, and Rai brought the guild's shield to her. Who girl? Naruto yelled, jumping in the way. Having the shield hit him first, Ray created a yellow shield as Green Lantern attacked him. I decide who win, Ray said, bringing the ceiling down on Green Lantern. He used his power to lift Green Lantern up, who screamed in pain. Suddenly the streak punched him over the room. What? Rai asked as he saw the guild let justice prevail. They yelled and attacked Rai. Ray created a blast, sending everyone back before Tom lifted up a stone pillar and threw it at him. Ray went outside. Here the guild attacked at once, causing Ray to scream out in pain and pass out. Suddenly everything vanished, leaving a barren land and destroyed buildings and the guild to disappear in a flash of light. Everyone all right? Naruto asked, helping Ha Girl up. What is that? She asked. Hearing pop goes the wee cell. Looking behind them they saw the ice cream truck with cracked glass indented, along with a group of people in tattered clothes. You're all real? Green Lantern asked as the ice cream driver explained that they were, and Rai used them. I'm sorry we destroyed your world, Green Lantern said as the man shook his head. No, we did that. Huck Girl looked around them before speaking up. All that's left is this nightmare, the man sighed before speaking. No, driving in an ice cream truck for 40 years, that's a nightmare. After being thanked by everyone, the League went to the basement of the mansion. Where's Naruto? Ha Weak Girl asked before Naruto flashed beside her. Present, he said. His Green Lantern yelled out yes. Looking to him they saw he found the rusty gate. How will this get us home? Tom said he didn't have a power source. Flash said as Green Lantern looked to his rain. Maybe I can power it. He shot the top of the gate and it powered on. Go. I'm not sure how long I can keep this up, Green Lantern said before the others dashed in with him. Following later at the watchtower, Flash was finishing telling the story of Seaport City and those heroes with the decoder rings. What's up with that? Ha Girl walked over to them and asked, where's G? Naruto with Carob pointed to their right where Green Lantern was looking out the window.